In this video, I'm going to talk about Kundalini awakening, the spiritual awakening, and how this process of Kundalini awakening is kind of shifting your awareness, especially your ego-centered awareness. So the one thing that fascinates me about this process is the filter of ego and the filter of the higher self, how this process is helping you to transform your filter of ego into a filter of higher consciousness, how it's kind of a lens of ego and a lens of higher consciousness. So it is giving you that ability to look. It tells you, look, you were seeing through the lens of ego, and now I'm making you see through this lens of higher consciousness. So you can choose for yourself which one you like the most. And of course, when you start looking through the lens of higher consciousness, you will like that lens more than the ego lens, because it is so full of fear-based tendencies, ego defenses, and a sense of insecurity is over there. When we are operating from our false sense of ego, what happens is that we are operating from that sense of grounding where we are feeling insecure. Because since as children we did not learn those healthy strategies that could help us to connect with our developmental stages as children in the most ideal ways, because our parents are not trained and they are coming from those generations where our grandparents didn't have tools and strategies to teach our parents those skills. So of course they can't pass it on to the children. That's where all this work of self-healing comes into picture, that when we heal ourselves, we are creating a very healing ground for our coming generations, because we can give these tools and strategies to our children, who can in turn pass those tools and strategies to their children. So it's a beautiful thing when we are able to sieve the information through the filter of the higher consciousness. We are able to let go. We are able to let go of a lot of controls that our ego likes to hold on to. How we want to control the outcome, that tendency begins to fizzle out from your life when your Kundalini awakens. You are no longer your ego doesn't need to gain its strength from the outer world. That is the first important thing that happens, and that really takes away a lot of stress from your life, that you are not looking to the outer world to feel good about yourself. You don't need validation. And I believe that all of us crave those rewards, those awards that makes us feel a sense of validation, because that is what we learned since we're growing up as children, that if you win a competition in this competitive world, or you achieve something in the form of a reward or award, then you are validated, then you are worth it. Your sense of self-worth comes from those achievements in the world. So one beautiful thing about this process is it strips you of that sense of achievement, and it brings you back home, where you are not bothered about those achievements any longer. You get back into your self-worth, which is very much inside you, and that is not dependent upon the external factors. You do not need someone to tell you how great you are looking, or you don't need somebody to tell you how good, kind person you are, or you don't feel bad if somebody is telling you you are a wicked person, because when you come back to your authentic home, these things won't matter. And isn't it like it strips off a lot of stress from your lives, where we're trying to seek our identification by gaining these kind of achievements and validation from the outer world, because it brings you back home to your unique creative purpose, where you go into a process, a creative process that is unique to you, and you enjoy being a part of that process. It's not that you are seeking rewards of that process, because that process in itself is life. That process in itself is so satisfying that you are not bothered about the end result. You're not bothered about the rewards. You're not bothered about what you will achieve from it. And it happens in shifts, like when my Kundalini got awakened, these realizations would come in bits and pieces, and then it starts becoming stronger in your system. And I think it is very relaxing thing to have happened in our lives when we begin to understand that our happiness or our validity is not dependent upon the rewards and rewards of the external world or on what others think about us. It is about knowing yourself. It is about having that deeper sense of connection with yourself that can bring you to your authentic self, and it is only from that authentic self that you can co-create your reality that is truly, truly your purpose in life. So this is the beautiful thing about this process. It brings you back home and it makes you see through the filter of your higher consciousness that you are complete universe within your own self, and you have all the tools and resources to achieve what you want in your life. So the filter of ego, it is a filter of control. It is more focused on the outcome. It is not focused that much on the process, whereas the filter of the higher consciousness is more focused on the process. It is not too much focused on the outcome. So when you are in the process, that means moment by moment you are enjoying that process. But if you're focused on the outcome, ego-based outcome, that means you are in stress. You are not being present. You're not in presence in that process, where you're worrying about the outcome. So this is the difference between the ego filter and the higher consciousness filter that the Kundalini or the spiritual awakening or spiritual ascension is bringing you into. Now, the second thing is that when you are involved in the process, it is also kind of stripping you of the fear-based ego mentality, because a lot of time our fears kind of make us behave in the ways that keep us in our defenses. So when the Kundalini energy rises through you and you're able to see through the focus of the higher consciousness, you go into a state of witness consciousness. So it is in this witness consciousness that you are able to zoom in to the parts of you that are fear-based. So it is not that like you choose to operate from your ego defenses, but you have no choice. You have to let go of your ego defenses. And when you let go of your ego defenses, it is that part we call the dark night of the soul or the death of the ego, because we thrive on our ego defenses. We create judgments, or we separate ourselves from others through those judgments. We either believe we are superior or we believe we are inferior. Our core beliefs decide upon all these defense mechanisms. So what this higher consciousness lens is doing, it is making you see through your core defenses, that strategies you started using as a person, and it is breaking those defenses so that you kind of feel at certain points during this process you will feel groundless, because when your defenses break, you have to co-create a new way of perceiving the life around you. But believe me, this perception is much better than those perception based upon our ego defenses, because the perception based on ego defenses is kind of has a lot of sense of insecurity underneath. So we are operating in our day-to-day lives from that sense of insecurity that is separating us from other people. Why is it separating us from other people? Because we are feeling unsafe inside, and in that sense of unsafety we are creating the filters of judgment, we are creating the filters of defenses, we are separating ourselves from others, we are putting people in the categories, we are jealous of others, or we are putting blame on others. So there's a lot of things happening. It's a lot of work. It is a kind of your whole core self is kind of opening up since you were born, and what kind of belief system you picked up as you were growing, and what kind of defenses did you pick up as you were growing. All those defenses are kind of shutting down and making you feel in the no man's land, but at the same time you are going into your authentic healthy self. where you are having that lens of higher consciousness, which is making you see your shadow self. And so when you begin to see your shadow self, your limitations, where you need to improve in life, you will find that you don't have time to gossip about other people. You don't have time for the pursuits that were keeping you busy earlier on, like going for things which entertained you earlier on, going for parties, or going for just those pursuits which do not hold meaning for you any longer, because your energies, they start creating something really meaningful, something that could help improve your life as well as the lives of others around you. So, this is today. I just wanted to talk about how Kundalini awakening or Kundalini ascension is shifting your awareness from the ego filter into a higher consciousness filter, which is allowing you to expand your consciousness, and which is allowing you to get back home, which is allowing you to connect with your unique purpose, and which is allowing you to see when we operate from our false ego self, which is based or which gains its power through the defense mechanisms, where we are not able to look at ourselves, at our limitations, at our behaviors, or not able to connect fully with our feelings, whether they are the feelings of anger or sadness or joy or happiness. If we have not learned to fully be present with these feelings or emotions, then we are not really into our core, into our authentic core. We are not truly in touch with our authentic self. So it's bringing you back home by stripping you of the ego filters and giving you the filters of higher consciousness, which allow you to move through life by understanding that identifying with the material things or status in life, or getting rewards and awards, cannot give you longer lasting happiness. Your longer lasting happiness and joy, it thrives in the moment, in the present moment, in the process of creation, where you are creating and you are not obsessing about the outcome. It's a beautiful process, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I will keep making more such videos in which I will keep sharing my experiences and knowledge around how my perspectives or filters are shifting, allowing me to go in a much better place of consciousness. So if you would like to hear from me more, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, so that every time when I upload a new video, you will be notified in your mailbox. Till then, you stay blessed.